How you going? Today on rozradio, we're going to be talking about some news that we've seen today, and I'm just going to elaborate on a bit of it. Well, give you my thoughts and let me know what you think with an email back or a reply. So today we saw the CBA is really copying it. Channel 10's going after him, Herald Sun, pretty much everyone's going after him, and let's be reminded here. This chairman of the CBA, who claims in this speech to, go and talk to the customers one-on-one, etc., hear the complaints, he's completely full of it. I mean, the guy's on. Well, he's made $12 million this year today. Most people don't make that in their life. This guy couldn't give a shit what you think, what anyone thinks about the bank. He doesn't care. He knows all the banks are all owned by other banks. So when you've got the big four banks in Australia, all owned by other banks, all interlocked with each other, they can't lose. One bank can't fall, the other one can't rise. They stay on the level with each other, so that they constantly rise. They all rise as a group. This is the banking monopoly, and back when they stopped of us having an actual Australian bank. Now we've got this Reserve Bank of Australia, which is also privately owned. Commonwealth Bank, it was the People's Bank, is now privately owned as well. Yeah, just have a listen to this guy and let me know what you think. I think he's a fucking joke, but I'd like to hear what you think. So before I play the clip of Ian from the Commonwealth Bank apologising profusely to the customers, during the clip, the Channel 10 start questioning whether there'd be banking reform or a royal commission. Now let's be serious now. Malcolm Turnbull was a Goldman Sachs banker. His son is a high-ranking Goldman Sachs banker. If you think there's going to be banking reform in Australia, you've got another thing coming. Like I said, all these banks are intertwined, and they're all owned by other banks. And let me list some of those other banks, and they're all American. Citicorp, National Nominees, JP Morgan's, HSBC. So they own a total of 39.34% of the Commonwealth Bank, and they own roughly about the same of all the other banks. So if you think he's going to piss off all his mates that help get him rich and probably help get him elected, it's just not going to happen. So watch this clip and just have a laugh and let me know.
Hello, I'm Ian Narev, CEO of the Commonwealth Bank. Trust goes to the heart of a relationship between a financial institution and its customers. Sadly, through the actions of some people working in our Commonwealth financial planning and financial wisdom businesses several years ago, we breached that trust. As a recent Senate report concluded, these people failed in their primary obligation to act in the best interests of our customers. The poor advice they gave caused financial loss and hardship for a number of customers. That is unacceptable. As CEO of the Commonwealth Bank, I am truly sorry, and I unreservedly apologise to all customers affected. We have now announced the Open Advice Review Program, which sets out to do the right thing for our customers. At no cost to our customers, the program will consist of an assessment of any advice received between 2003 and 2012, access to an expert who will act as a customer advocate, guiding and advising customers on our review of their assessment, and access to an independent review panel to which the bank will be bound. Importantly, the program will be overseen by an independent expert who will make their periodic reports public. This is a new, far-reaching program of review and remediation, and will be supported with an extensive advertising campaign across Australia. Today, our financial advice business is also fundamentally different. We have new systems and processes in place, greater advisor training, and changes in management, structure, and culture. This transformation shows our commitment to ensuring that the best interests of our customers are always our first and foremost consideration. Once again, I am sorry for any financial losses caused. I sincerely hope the program reminds everyone that trust is something we do take very seriously. Thank you.
Particularly, I'd like to ask you about Bank West, the acquisition which I think you drove back in 2008.
The first CEO of Australia's 4 biggest banks has fronted Parliament's Economic Committee and apologised to any customers who have been treated badly. But a defiant Ian Narev says that customer satisfaction surveys show 90% are happy with the bank's service. Paul Bongiorno joins us now from Canberra with more on this story. Paul, amid all the talk of a Royal Commission, do you think that the CommBank boss silenced the critics today?
Well, Sandra, the problem with today's exercise was that, and curiously, we only got to hear Ian Narev's side of the story without any real follow-up or ability to test what he was saying. An example, we didn't get any explanation on how a culture could grow up the bank to treat even 10% of its customers so shabbily. And perhaps most of all, there's no transparency to the bank's own ongoing internal inquiries. He's the $12 million man of Australian banking. The Commonwealth's Ian Narev came to the first of these hearings well briefed and somewhat contrite.
I've said before how sorry I am for the pain that we've caused them. I say so again today.
But he says his bank mostly gets things right, as his customer surveys show. But what about the bank's insurance arm, CommInsure?
It's also alleged that doctors were pressured to change medical opinions in order to deny claims.
That's unethical, highly unethical, isn't it?
What you've just read out is not the case.
The committee also pushed the case of Emmeline Matthews, who was denied hardship assistance on mortgage repayments after she contracted terminal cancer.
It was not a decision, I think, that with the benefit of hindsight, we would have made.
Labor MPs complained they weren't allocated enough time to ask their questions.
This proves that this committee is a farce.
As the government continues to fight off Labor's calls for a royal commission, it wanted to show that it could be tough without one, announcing today a clampdown on the banks for manipulating the rates they charge each other.
This is the 5th reform that the government's proposed to deal with a problem in banking which they keep telling us doesn't exist.
The other reforms were ASIC, the regulator, boosted, a grievance tribunal to be established, a behaviour inquiry and annual bank CEO hearings. But victims are unimpressed. Robert Story owes his bank nearly $400,000 after shonky investment advice.
Just a financial crisis is happening at the moment. We'll ride it out and gone.
In the meantime, he was getting commission.
And he's still getting commissions.
Others say a royal commission would show a much bigger crisis. Now, Sandra, the deputy chair of this committee, Labor's Matt Thistlethwaite, asked Ian Narev if he'd be prepared to come back before the end of the year. He said he'd leave that up to the committee, which he really means the Liberal majority.
Paul Bongiorno in Canberra, thank you.